In this video we're looking at utility programs that deal with security, and just thinking about what utility programs are. They are really like applications. They're just programs that run above the operating system. They tend to often do quite low level things though, so we think of them somewhere between or equal to the operating system, or between the operating system and the applications. So they work with the operating system just like the applications work with the operating system, and the operating system works with the hardware. And so the user will interact with applications, and the user will also interact with the utility programs. So we can look first of all at a standard utility program that most people will have on their computers, you really should have, and that is antivirus software. And so first of all we need to ask, what is a computer virus? And it's very similar to a virus in real life. So a real life virus will infect different people, so it's able to copy itself and spread to another person, and exactly the same with a computer. So a computer virus is able to copy itself and spread to other computers. Just like a human virus, a virus will have some negative payload attached to it, so something negative happens because of it. You get a cold or you get ill, so something negative happens and that spreads to the next person. And exactly the same with a computer virus, something negative happens, and when it gets spread, that negative feature will happen on the other computer. So it's something which makes copies of itself and has some negative functionality. And the sort of things which viruses will do, the more basic and humorous ones, will go and maybe give a joke or a message. Some will fill up or delete files from your hard disk, and others might go through and just try and destroy certain types of data, or destroy data, or just take up RAM and make your computer function worse than it used to. The ways that we deal with viruses is with antivirus software. And we have here an example of some antivirus software which is working. And the way that antivirus software works, it's installed on the computer, it's sitting there in RAM, and it's constantly checking to see whether it can identify certain features of software which is running which make it suspect that it is in fact a virus. And when you run a scan of your hard disk, it can then scan every single file on that hard disk to see whether any of them have a virus contained within them or are themselves a virus. And what it's doing is it's checking against thousands or tens of thousands of viruses that it knows, and it's got a little signature which it's looking for. The next piece of security which utility software has to deal with these days is that of dealing with spyware. Now, spyware is almost in the name. It's software that spies on your computer. And the sort of thing which is located in spyware is very similar to viruses, but it's got a specific objective, and that's to gain information about your computer, your activities on your computer. The sort of thing which you will have in spyware is keyloggers. So, for example, a small piece of software sits in RAM, you don't know that it's there, and it's logging every single key press which you make on the computer. It can then send that off to a remote site, and at some point you will have typed in your password, and because it's logging that, it's logging maybe the web address you typed in before. Whoever's spying on you can then use that password just as you typed it in. The other sort of thing which spyware software could do is it could take screenshots of your computer, and again, at regular intervals, or when you press the left mouse click perhaps, a screenshot can be taken and that can be sent off to a remote location. And if you combine screenshots and keyloggers, it's quite easy to find out people's passwords and their user activity, and use that to steal money, steal identities, steal information about people. The way that we prevent it is with spyware protection, and this is nearly the same as the way that antivirus works. So it's sitting in the background and it's seeing, is the software that's running likely to be spyware? If you download a program, it's checking through to see whether it contains spyware. And the method of delivery for spyware is very often that a fairly legitimate program that you want possibly from a dubious website, then contains this negative payload of some spyware. So you install the program and then find that there's some spyware on which you didn't realise you were installing. And the final piece of utility software which we're going to take a look at, which deals with security, is that of the firewall. And that component in the middle is the firewall. And here what we've got is a local area network, so that could be a business or a school, or it could just be your home local area network if you've got, say, a couple of consoles and a couple of PCs and a tablet, and you've connected all of those onto your wireless network, then they're all set up as a local area network. So that there connects on to a firewall. And then on the other side of it, you've got the internet or a wide area network. And for most of you on your personal networks, you're probably connecting on to the internet. So the question comes, what does a firewall do? And very simply, what a firewall does is it tries to, and very often does, prevent unauthorized communication between computers. And the way that it does this is when communication comes in, it comes in little sections, so you don't get a constant stream of information like in a telephone call. What you get is small little bits of information, so big bits of information get split up into smaller bits of information, and these are called packets. And so what the firewall will do is it will look inside each packet and see what that packet's trying to do. So if it's a packet which is trying to get to a certain port, for instance, maybe it's trying to get to port 80 and you don't have a web server inside your LAN, so you might block port 80 to prevent people using that port to get into here. And so if they've got port 80 on and you're blocking it, then these packets will just get disregarded as if they never existed. And so anything negative which might be contained in them, like a virus, will never get through. And so one of the ways is port blocking, so any ports which aren't being used on the computer will be blocked and you only open up the ports which you need. And packet filtering in general, the firewall can take a look inside those packets and see whether there's anything inside them which might be dubious or not allowed on that network. So it adds a line of defense which separates your local area network from your wide area network or the internet.